Alrighty, guys, welcome back. This is your host, ID Jester. We are in Panzer Grenadier, working on Kursk, south flank, scenario number 28, Kliuchi town. As you can see, we've got some big changes in store for you guys here as we're starting turn number 2. Number 1, obviously you can see we got our vessel module up and running for it, thanks to the Panzer Grenadier headquarters. We subscribe to their channel and are going through our tutorial missions so that we can become part of their site and use the vessel module for Panzer Grenadier. So you guys can check over there. It's pg-hq.com. Be sure to head over there if you're a Panzer Grenadier fan. And you can sign up. And you can go through a testing program to check your skills. They will actually mentor you. You can find lots of players to play with. And then you can also get access to Vassal Module. But they will give you a Vassal Module to test out and play and use so that you can get used to Vassal and pass their introductory scenarios so that you can understand the system a little bit better. So with that out of the way, we're starting game turn number 2, and again, this is the Vassal module. I thought it would be easier for you guys to see things. You don't have the glare everywhere. You don't have a problem, seeing the counters. You can see the situation a little bit easier. Now, before we actually get started, a few things we need to talk about. So with Panzer Grenadier, the two really big rules that you have to keep in mind and kind of different than a lot of other tactical war games. And I do play a lot of different tactical war games, so it's not that I forgot, it's just it didn't register in my brain. The two most important rules, I would say, are spotting and unit activation with moving closer to enemy units. You can see some of our units here. I actually repositioned them because it doesn't do you any good to bring over these motorcycle units, bring them over here. Because on turn 2, when you activate them, they can't move closer to any enemy units that can hurt them. So, unless you're activated by a leader. So, that's kind of the main driving force behind this system is units just won't go charging forward into the enemy unless they're instructed to do so by their superiors, which is very realistic when you think about it. You're not going to just game the system by going, oh, these guys are going to go 1, 2, or, well, it'd actually be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, whatever, and just move them right up there, right? Because these guys are going to know they're going to get shot at and everything on the way up there. So they're going to be a little bit more waiting for orders. And this tactical system is more of a, how do I want to put it? More of like a slow grind. You want to wear your opponents down. You want to hurt their morale. You want them to be not in full fighting capacity, so that you can then make your assaults on defensive positions. Unlike a lot of other tactical war games where you're just moving units right up adjacent and just shooting back and forth, you know, doing all that. This game is more about shooting your enemy, wearing them down, demoralizing them, having units break. In fact, if you noticed our game charts here, there's hardly any results where you actually get a result where enemies are going to take step losses. It occasionally happens when you roll really, really low or really, really high. But you can see most of the checks are going to be morale checks. And what you want to do is get your opponent to fail a couple morale checks. And if your units fail morale checks, they don't fight as well, they can't fight, they can't activate, they can't do things, they can't move closer to enemy units. And that's where it is different than a lot of other tactical war games out there. So you have to definitely keep that in mind. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is spotting, right? And units that are spotted and aren't spotted. So units, if we just hide the pieces here. So there is clear terrain, which is obviously all this brownish yellow stuff here. And there's only a few hexes on this map that actually have terrain in them. You got a town hex here. You got some crops hex up here, down here, and a couple wood hexes down here. These are all considered limited spotting hexes. And the thing with limited spotting hexes is the units are hunkered down inside there. And you can't see them to shoot at them unless you get within a certain range. And that range happens to be 3 hexes. So in this case, the units here, the motorcycle teams, or motorcycle company, is 4 hexes away. They can't actually spot these guys, even though you, as a human, can see the units in this hex. These units don't know where they're at. They could have moved into this hex, and it doesn't do them any good to shoot into that hex because they don't know if they're there. They don't know they're there until either A, they move within range, and then some of the guys are able to spot enemies and show people where, oh, they're hiding over there. Okay, you see these tall trees on the left-hand side? That's where they're all hiding. Shoot it there. Type situation, which again is pretty realistic when you look at how and why the game is the way it is. So spotting range is super, super, super important when units are in limited terrain. These guys are not in limited terrain. These guys are out in the clear hexes. So that all these guys can see them, which makes sense. You can see these guys moving up. They can see them. There's nowhere to hide. There's little gullies and little valleys and little bushes and trees, but there's guys, you know, in these buildings here with binoculars that can see them and spot them and say, okay, we got guys coming over here on the left flank. We got guys coming down the road. But these guys coming down the road or out here, when they're looking at the towns, all they see is the buildings. They don't see where the guys are hiding and which buildings and everything. So the 2 most important things is, number 1, activating to move closer to an enemy, right? Especially if you're on the attacking side. You can't just take your units and just move them all over the map like a lot of other tactical games, because, like I said, if these guys were over here, when they activate, they can't move any closer to anybody that could hurt them because they haven't been told to do that. So they have to stay close to leaders. That's why leaders are super, super important in this game. Leaders are important because of the activations, and then of course, being able to see and spot. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to shoot these guys into these hex because I can see there's counters in that hex. Well, these guys can't spot them. Even though you can see there's units in that hex, they can't. The last thing is, so I've made some changes to the layout of the map, moved some units back that I moved up. Again, not that I forgot the rule, it's just, you know, when you play a lot of different game systems, you got to get back in the flow of how this game is different and how it operates compared to other games out there. So it's definitely not a close tactical fight like a lot of other games. This is more of a long, it's like a slow burn, you know. You don't just brush right in there and just guns a-blazing, which, you know, can turn off a lot of people. You know, it's not a combat commander. It's not lock and load tactical. It's different. And some of the rules that it implies, I do think are very good compared to other gaming systems out there. I do like the way they handle slopes in this game compared to a lot of the other games out there. And I do like the spotting rules. Now, Lock and Load Tactical has a nice spotting rules as well. So you have to keep that all in mind when you're moving. So I moved some units back and repositioned a few units, knowing that I would have done things a little bit differently as we move these guys in. But most everything is the same as it was before. Second thing is, I actually, interesting enough, you will notice that these are different counters. Funny story. So if I go to the actual game pieces here, I'm used to the scenario actually has the Soviet guards as the units. But when I was pulling them out of the box, because I have several different games in the East Front, let's see, where can I find the other games that I have the lighter counters on them, like these. And so that was what I was assuming the guards were. But after rereading the rules and looking at the information, I realized that the actual Soviet guards in this scenario are the actual darker green colors with the stripe on them. So I changed out all the units so that they match that, and actually it helps because you will notice some of the values on these counters are a little bit different. The other counters had a 4-2. The guard units have a 5-2 on them. It's a little bit more firepower for the infantry. And then a couple of the leaders that I had randomized were not included in the guards. So I got another one that was as similar as I could. Like, for example, I think the unit that we actually drew out of the cup for the captain here was a 900 leader, but I don't believe the so you can see under captains here, they don't have any 900 leaders in the guards, so I gave them a 910 made it as close as I could to compensate for the fact that the Germans were cheating and trying to move units up on them inappropriately, shall we say. So we are starting game turn number 2. As you can see, the first turn was at 5:30 a.m. This is 5:45 a.m. The Germans have initiative of 2, and the Russians have initiative of 1. Current visibility is now 10 hexes. It was 8 hexes, and then it'll go to 12 hexes starting at 6, which will be full visibility. They will receive, their initiative will be reduced by 1 for every 3 step losses the Germans takes, and the same thing for the Russians, although it's only 2 step losses there. You can see both their morales are 8 and 6 for their full strength and half strength units. And I believe we are all caught up on all of the mistakes and everything that had happened. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah, so new units out here, or well, you know, basically the same units, just the different guard unit types. I did look up this unit here, which is the SK10/4, and to try and figure out what that is. And that is actually a self-propelled artillery unit for the Germans. So the German self-propelled artillery include the Grilli, the SK-71, and the SK-10-4. Even though the SK-10-4 has no armor value, you treat it as a same as a truck and give it an armor value of -1. Normally, the armor value on units that are AFVs or whatever would be right there in front, kind of on the left side of the portrait there. For example, if we were to go game pieces and we looked at unit here, that's where the armor would be. If they don't have any armor, they're considered a -1. So that should make things... So obviously, it's not an AFV, so he doesn't have his own leader, so I had to assign a leader to it, so obviously it could move. Basically, it can do the same thing as a normal unit, so if this leader activates, it can activate its hex and every hex around it, so it could activate these guys in this hex and this hex. Of course, disrupted leaders cannot do that. When you see we have a demoralized unit and a disrupted leader here. So disrupted leaders can only activate units in their own hex. Don't forget, units that activate cannot move closer unless they're activated by a leader. So again, if I wanted to just activate these guys to move them up, which in a normal tactical game you would be able to do, this isn't like that. These guys aren't going to be throwing their... oh, well, let's move these guys adjacent and then we can assault the town. Well, these guys aren't going to want to do this unless they're told by their superiors, all right, we're moving out, boys, let's go. They're not going to just do that. Which, again, makes sense when you think about the big picture of things. So, anyways, I appreciate PG-HQ.com, Panzer Grenadier Headquarters. Look them up on the old interweb thing and check out their site. They got a lot of information. They have the rules you can download. They have information on scenarios, all the different game modules and everything. And of course, you can join their site. You can become Panzer Grenadier. And you can find people to play with. You can get tutorials and help and all kinds of good stuff from their website. So make sure if you're checking it out, you go check out their site. And like I said, if you want to go through their training program, you can download a Vassal module, and you can either do self-mentorship or you can get mentors that will help you, and you can hook up with them and play. And it's a really cool site, so check it out. All right, without further ado, so after one turn, 15 minutes of game time, all that shooting and all that firing, we ended up with one demoralized unit, one disrupted leader, and then down here on the bottom we ended up with a disrupted unit as well. So, what I'm looking for is to show you. All right, the big difference here between disrupted and disorganized. Section 14.2 of the rulebook in the 4th edition rulebook, which is of course what we're using. A disrupted unit or leader has his combat strength halved, So obviously not as good. May only move 1 hex per turn. And can't enter enemy occupied hexes. And the other thing with the leader is when they're disrupted, they can only activate units in their own hex. Demoralized units. A demoralized leader or unit may not conduct any type of fire except for defending against an assault. So if your units are demoralized and enemies move into your hex, you can still defend against that assault, but you do so at 1/4 your normal direct fire value. So if it's normally a 4, you're going to defend with a 1, which is obviously pretty bad. You also have your morale reduced by 1. So if you're, in this case, if you're a full strength unit, instead of an 8, you're going to be a 7. If you're a half strength unit, you're going to go down to 5. A unit that is activated must try to recover morale on its attempt. So you can't try to do anything else with it. You must try to recover morale when you activate that unit. And a whole bunch of rules on what happens if he fails. They would try to run away and flee and blah, 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 which we'll look at when it happens. All right, so let's get back into it. So start at turn number 2. We're going to add 2 to the German initiative, 1 to the Russian initiative, and let's see what happens. So we'll roll. Let's see. Let's move this up a little bit more. We don't quite need all that room there, and yeah, we can probably keep that out. That's fine. Sure, why not? All right, again, you'll notice that some of the units have been slightly adjusted and moved for the reasons I stated at the beginning. So, first thing first, we're going to roll for the German initiative. Die roll. Let's scroll down here, and it gets a 4, plus 2 is a 6. For the Russians, they rolled a 4, plus 1 is 5. So, the Germans beat them by 1, so they're going to get to win the initiative, and they're going to get to take first activation, and they're going to get only 1 activation this time because they only beat it by 1. So, which is kind of unfortunate because they would have liked to do a few attacks before the Russians can even do anything about it. So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So, I was hoping to actually figure out how to add in the artillery. So these units here are spotted. This hex is spotted because obviously the Germans are within 2 hexes away. This leader can call in artillery or off-board artillery and have them attack this hex. This leader cannot do that, or this leader cannot do that, because this leader cannot see that hex. Again, because of what we talked about in the beginning. You have to be able to spot units. These guys are close enough that they can see. Oh, okay, I see where these guys are hiding. There's heavy machine guns in there. And oh, there's where they got a couple AT guns hunkered down behind the walls. Yep, okay, I see that. So they can call artillery in. This guy can't actually do that. Just because these guys see this hex doesn't mean that these guys automatically see this hex. Or these guys. These guys do actually see these hex because they're 3 hexes away. So being in limited terrain, obviously very important for what we talked about in the beginning. So the Germans are going to do what they do best. They're going to, well, I wouldn't say what they do best, to be honest. They are going to call in their artillery barrage. And they're going to put it right on this hex here. If they can disrupt or damage those units there, get rid of that 57 millimeter AT, then they could obviously move that guy up without having to worry about it. And that heavy machine gun with 8 firepower is pretty dangerous, because 2 opportunity attacks with that could be quite dangerous. So we're going to call in our artillery, which is pretty good. It is a 24, so let's look at our offboard. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted our game charts. There we go. So one thing that's a little bit confusing for people in the rule book, and if you're trying to refresh yourself for Panzer Grenadier, is sometimes in the rule books they talk about indirect fire, and then other times they talk about bombardment fire. Those two terms are interchangeable, bombardment fire and indirect fire. So if they talk about indirect fire, you're going to be using bombardment fire. So I'm not sure why they haven't gone through and changed all that in the rule book just so it's all uses the same terminology. So we have a 24, so we're going to be on the 21 column just to start. Then, of course, we're going to get beat up because target is in a town or entrenchment, so that's going to be 2 shifts automatically right there. Target is a mortar, anti-aircraft gun, anti-tank gun, cavalry unit, and artillery. Well, we do have a anti-air. We do have a 57 millimeter AT gun in there. We also have. Let's slide that over there. We also have a heavy machine gun. So when you make a bombardment attack, you're going to roll 1 attack, and you're going to use different columns for the different types of units. So the heavy machine gun we're going to get a -2 on. And for the AT gun, we're only going to get a -1 because these are cumulatively. So -2 plus 1 is a -1 on the AT gun, anti-tank gun. Let's see if there's any other modifiers. Friendly fire, no. No. Most of these things don't apply. They're just... there's only a couple that usually apply. That's the 3 combat units. Check to see that. Check the terrain. Check the type of unit. Yeah, so we're going to use 1 attack here. So we're going to roll 2 dice. And we're going to look at the 12 column for the heavy machine gun and the 16 column for the AT gun. So let's see what we can roll on our bombardment here. I rolled a 5. So 5 on the 16 column actually is going to be an M. So it's going to be a morale check on the AT gun. So we got some kind of result there. Not much of it, but excuse me. So the heavy machine gun and the captain, they were unaffected because we lose 2 columns on both of those units, but because the AT guns are bigger units, so they have to make a morale check, and of course our morale, because they're on their full strength side, is an 8. So they need to roll 8 or less. So let's see what they roll. Rolling 2 dice. Oh, they just made it. Just made it. So, unfortunately, that is the German activation, and they are done. Because they only get 1 activation. So it's over to the Russian player now. So Russians are in pretty good shape. They don't have anything going on. They got all these Germans out in the open. They can see all of them. Doesn't matter if they're 2 X's away, 3 X's away. But as soon as they fire, which is kind of another trick to this game, right? Is, let's say, let's just say, oh, we decide to move these guys up, and then these guys fire. Once they fire, then this hex is spotted. And all of our guys can then shoot into it. So, obviously, they want to try and keep hidden until the last moment. I got some pretty juicy targets out there as well. And I think they're going to bring in their bombardment. They already have a disrupted leader, demoralized. If they could do the same thing here, that would be rather good. So the Russian, I'm just trying to remember what it was. It's an 18 is what it is. Wrong button again. This one. All right, so they're going to be on the 16 column. And so obviously if they could find AT guns, artillery, cavalry, friendly fire, 3 combat units. But I don't think these are 3 units, but they're not combat units. Combat units are basically either AFVs or units. Obviously, stacking more in a hex gives you more firepower. But it also gives the enemy an opportunity. There's a couple limbered mortars they could drop down on. Do they go after the disrupted mortalized guys to try and break them? Or maybe go after these mortar units? Interesting enough, the actual game charts just say, is target unit a mortar unit? It doesn't say whether the unit has to be limbered or unlimbered. It's just a mortar unit. So he would actually go from the 16 to the 21 column. That would give these guys a chance to rally, or in this game they call it recovering morale, but basically rallying. Actually, they do have the heavy machine gun. They could use the heavy machine gun to try and do something there. Yeah, why not? We're going to try and take these mortar units out. I guess, yeah, the German player kind of messed it up. They probably, if I had to do it over again, but I'm not going to, I probably would have brought these guys in here. Gone 1, 2 for their move. Then 3, 4. And then maybe like this. So it would have taken them a couple turns to get in there. I was kind of trying to rush it and get them up there nice and quick. But now it might cost the German player. Anyways, so they got an 18 attack on the bombardment chart. So it drops down in the 16 column. And like I said, +1 for the mortar. So it's going to go up to the 21 column. So let's see how the Russians do here. Oh, wow. That's going to be brutal. That is 11 on the 21. And that is going to be an M2 check. Almost got him with actual step losses there. Whew. That could have been good. But still, an M2 could be just as good. All right, so these guys have to take a morale check, and the M2 stands for morale, and then you're going to add 2 to whatever they roll. So we'll go for the top unit first. So obviously, if you're rooting for the Germans, you want to roll low. If you're rooting for the Russians, you want to roll high. It rolls a 7, which would normally save, but because of the M2, you got to add 2 to it. 7 plus 2 is 9, which means he fails. And this guy becomes demoralized. I'm sorry, disrupted. Second guy, let's see what he rolls. 6 plus 2 is 8. So he's okay. So he did, well, that could have been a lot worse, to be honest. That could have been a heck of a lot worse, to be honest. All right, well, that is both of the artilleries back to back. All right, so back to the German player turn, and the German player is going to I'm just going to look at the game charts again real quick. Okay. And the woods is 2. All right, okay. Just looking to see how many movement points it would take. All right, the German player is going to activate this Heister. 9 morale, 1 combat, and no morale modifier. They're going to activate his hex and this hex down here. So these 4 units will all activate. So he's going to move 1 there. So the Germans are now within range that they can start moving up if they want to. But again, we talked about this a little bit ago. As soon as these guys open up, then that hex becomes spotted. They normally have a spotted counter, but I think in this game... Yep, you just put on binoculars to show, oh, you've been spotted. So he's going to move up 1. And so then this guy has to decide. He's going to say... Obviously, it's kind of a juicy target, but it's a single target. He'd like to get multiple units. Obviously, he's going to say no. And so the German's going to move there. So the way assaults work in this game, unlike a lot of other games, right? When you move, you can't just go 1, 2, 3. We're assaulting. Right? So in this game, the only way to start an assault is you have to move up adjacent. And then the next time you activate, you spend all your movement points to move into that hex. Of course, you have to be told by a leader to do that as well. So he's going to move up there. And you know what? This guy over here, I think, is going to take a shot at him. He's a range of 2 now. So he's got a firepower of 5. Let's go ahead and look at the direct fire table here. Firepower of 5 goes down to the 4 column. no leader modifier. He gets a plus for opportunity fire. Where is it? Units not more than three or more hexes away, but there is one for opportunity fire. Plus one for opportunity fire versus personnel unit. So he will go up to the 7 golem, which is not too bad. Let's see what he does. Alright, a shot is an 11. On the 7 column is going to be an M1. It's a morale +1 check. Morale is 8 because he's on his full strength side. So rolling the dice and added 1. 5 + 1 is 6, so no effect. So he is opportunity fired once. I think we can actually... not the right one. Oh, right there it is. So he fired. Let's see if we do it again. Okay, yep. Once you do it again, then you're activated. I gotcha. That's cool. So it shows that he's fired once by having that little banner down there. But he resisted it. You can see, in this game, like I said, it's like moving your units up. Is it? It's going to be dangerous. So this guy's. This guy is. Mark activated. There we go. So he's done because he's moved. So he can't do anything else. So he's going to go 1. Does anybody shoot at him? No. Is he going to spend a shot at him? Not really, because here's the thing with opportunity fire, right? So let's say this guy, let's see, we'll start again. So if I go 1, 2, and then this guy goes, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot at him, right? Opportunity fire only affects the unit that's moving. It only affects the unit that's moving. So it doesn't matter if there's anybody else in the hex or not. It only affects the unit that's moving. So if he goes 1, 2, and you opportunity fire on him, you don't get to attack all those units. You just attack the one unit. So if this guy, moves up here and then he moves here, it's better for him not to shoot opportunity fire because then he can use his regular attack to shoot him. If that makes sense. Yeah. So, so he moved up 1 there, and once again, he's going to move up into that hex. And, yep, he's going to go ahead and take another shot with his unit over here. So it might have been better for him not to take that opportunity fire, because this captain here with that 1 combat modifier could have combined values with the 2 units. He could have used his heavy machine gun and this guy and got a 8 and a 5, 13, plus 1 for the captain, 14, which, let's see, game charts, 14, doesn't quite make the 16 column, but does make the 11 column. Yeah, so he'll shoot again. Why not? He's going to take a shot. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's see what he gets. Again, same modifiers, plus 1. So he's going to go up to the 7 golem there. 7 on a 7 is nothing. Big old squat. So we are going to mark him as done as he's activated. So opportunity fire, sometimes it's worth it, but a lot of times it's not. You do get 2 opportunity fires. All right, so that was those 2 units. These 2 units can still move. So he's going to go 1. Again, this guy could opportunity fire. Boy, I'm thinking about this. Hang on a second. That could be dangerous. He would be on the 7 column +2 for adjacent. He's going to be 7. He's going to be on the 22 column. That is... Yeah, see that +2 target hex is adjacent to all firing units. That can be dangerous. But that's how you get to assault units, right? So he's actually going to go 1, 2... So the German was hoping that maybe he'd activate these units. Hey, Private Public, how you doing? He's having lunch. Good Lord. 1, 2. Man, if I move into this hex right there, that would be brutal. That would be +2. Target hex is adjacent. +1 for opportunity fire. That's going to move him up 3 columns. 1, 2, 3. So he'll be on the 22 column. But it would activate him, which means this hex would be spotted then. We do have a lot of units. Yeah, I don't know if it's C. 1, 2. I could go there, but then I would put 3 combat units in a hex, and that would give him even better shot. He would go 1, 2, 3. I think most you can get is a +3. Yeah, most you can get is a +3. So he could only get to the 22 column. You know what? We're going to risk it. Why not? We are actually going to move into that hex. Wow. Ooh, that is... All right. The Russian can't wait anymore. Can't wait anymore. He's going to opportunity fire. Now, is he going to throw in this? He can go up to... Wow. You know what? I might have miscalculated here. Now, this is interesting. You guys are going to love this, right? So I was looking at this. Got to move this down a little bit, right? So if he uses the heavy machine gun, he gets 8 firepower, +1 for the captain is a 9, which doesn't do much. And it'll fall all the way back to the 7 column. He would go up 3 columns, +2 because of being adjacent, +1 because it's opportunity fire. So you go up to the 22 column. Now, interesting enough, if he throws his 57 millimeter AT gun in there, he would actually be 8 + 2 is 10 + 1 for the captain is 11. He would start at the 11 column. Then he would go up 11 to 16 to 22 to 30. He would be on the 30 column. And you can see there's a lot of X's on there. So I probably miscalculated and didn't think the... Yeah, I mean, as the German player, or as the Russian player, you gotta... Yeah, I think he's going to add both of those guys. it's going to severely limit them. But if you can get a good result, this could be brutal for the Germans. So they're going to get 11 plus 3 columns is going to give them a 30 column. Yikes, yikes, yikes. That's going to be very bad for the Germans here. 9 on the 30 column is an M2. M2, which unfortunately for the Russians, it is not an X result, but it's still an M2. So we'll go bottom to top. We'll go bottom to top. We'll go top to bottom. That's fine. We'll go with the leader first. Leader first. Yes, I think the leaders actually have to go first anyways. So plus 2 to the dice roll. 9 plus 2 is 11. He is a 9. So that is going to make him very sad. It's going to make him disrupted. Now the 3 units. 11 plus 2 is 13. This guy becomes automatically demoralized because he failed by 3 or more. Second one. 7 plus 2 is 9. He fails by 1, so he just becomes disrupted. And last but not least, 10 plus 2 is 12. Wow. They got brutalized. They certainly did. Wow. So the leader got disrupted, a squad got disrupted, and 2 demoralized units. Wow. But these guys can now be spotted. It might cost the... All right, so it's back to the Russian player. The Russian player is going to say, okay. Can't actually see that hex. Boy, if you could find a way to hit this hex, it would be brutal. They got some pretty high rolls there. 9, 11, 7, and 10. Whew. Wow. All right. Oh, I know what happened. Okay. These guys got messed up. These guys should not be motorcycles. That's where the motorcycles went. Let me delete those. These guys should be... There we go. Couldn't figure out what happened to the motorcycle teams. Now I know what happened to them. They got moved over here. And then this guy gets disrupted. Okay. These guys are disrupted. You know what? They are 2 hexes away. Or 1 guy's disrupted. 2 hexes away. He get 5 firepower on him. No bonuses. Yeah, I think he'll... I think he will move. He could move over here to prevent these guys from just jumping in on him, which they might do, because they start adjacent, they could assault him. This guy can also shoot him. Or he could use his 76 millimeter. I think, you know what? He's going to take his 76 millimeter. He's going to shoot these mortar units. So we're going back to the bombardment table. I think that is a good choice. So he's got a firepower of 10 plus 1 for his leader there. Is 11, but oh, just misses it. Can't get the 12. So he goes to the 8 column, but he gets a plus 1 because the target units are mortars. And I believe that's it. So he's going to go to the... Ten goes up to 11. Yep, so it's going to be the 12 column. So we'll shoot him at the 12 column. See what he rolls. A 4. 12 column and a 4 is a morale check. Will be a morale check. So we will do disrupted unit first is on top. So we'll do him first. 6 is fine. The undisrupted one below him. 6. Okay, so they both passed. Unfortunately. Well, all right. Well, I think it's time to. I mean, yep. I think the whatever is the STBNFR, which stands for something crazy. Strombanführer. All right, which is basically a, what do we call them? Major. So this guy's a major. He's going to activate himself, and this undisrupted unit. And they're going to assault that hex, I believe. I do have to refresh my memory on the old assault, because it's been a while since I assaulted. Only good order units directed by a leader of their own type may enter an adjacent hex occupied by an enemy unit, and requires a fire activation since combat will result, even though it's movement 2. This is called assault movement. They will do this only if they start their activation adjacent to the enemy occupied hex they wish to enter. They must stop moving once they've entered the hex. This initiates an assault. The assault units are the attacker, and their opponents are defenders. The attacker can change in later activations. Alright, disrupted units cannot move in, so this guy will move in, and these guys will move in. And the leader will also activate... he could activate him. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Okay, so combat. I think let's just look at the old. I bet you it's soul combat, right? So -1 against defending units occupying a... okay, so... procedure. Each player totals the direct firepower of all of his units in the hex that are not firing... disrupted, demoralized. Each player finds the column on the assault table whose value... right. Okay, so we have... the Germans have... 12, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I know leaders have something, so I was looking to see. Let's look at the... So we're going to get a -1. So we're on the 12, -1. Now the question is, I'm wondering, I believe the leader gives his combat value of 1, but I was trying to double check my rule on the leaders. Which is going to be huge for the Germans because it's going to take them from 12 to 13. Then they're going to lose a column shift because they're assaulting a guy in a woods hex. So it's going to drop them down to the 9 column. So let's roll for the Germans first. I've just got them calculated. 4 on the 9 column is an M2. All right, so let's see. This is going to be so he's a full strength unit, so he's got an 8 morale. It's an M2, so we're going to add 2 to the result. 5 plus 2 is 7. Wow, he's fine. All right, now let's look. The Russians have a 5, so they're going to roll on the 5 column. This is all simultaneous, by the way. There is no first fire in this case, I don't believe. First fire... only when you're conducting an assault against a dug-in or entrenched enemy do you get first fire. Okay, yep. So he's on the 5 column. He doesn't get any bonuses or penalties, I don't think. No, I don't see anything. All right. Let's go for his attack. Oh, it's a 3. Wow. 3 is an M2. So just like he took an M2, he took an M2. The Germans are going to have to take an M2. Wow, these are stubborn little defenders. So go right down the list. We'll do the leader first. He's an 11, fortunately. We're going to add 2 to the roll. 10 plus 2 is a 12. He failed and becomes disrupted. These are the wrong units anyways. God damn it. Not sure why I have it. I think he is an engineer, but these 2 units are not engineers. Boy, oh boy. You'd think I'd get this right. I delete those. Alright, back to what we were doing. So the leader fails, which is not good. So now we have 2 platoons. First one, 5 plus 2 is 7. He's okay. Second one, 3 plus 2 is 5. So both the platoons come out unscathed. But that 11 leader, oh my gosh. I've hardly ever seen 11 leader take any damage. Wow, that's crazy. This has been brutal for the Germans so far. Brutal. But they only have 10 turns to get all this done. So they wanted to get this area cleaned out so they can get this mortar to start lobbing mortar shells in there and then kind of come up and flank as the mortars are lobbing stuff in there. So they've been pressing probably a little bit too hard. Maybe they'll learn their lesson. I don't know. Now this guy can actually, it's over to the Russians now. This guy could actually go in that hex and reinforce. He could lock down that whole area for a long time. So after you're done here, we need to mark them activated. Mark activated. He is mark activated, but the defenders are not marked activated. He is not. So he actually could then turn around and become the attacker. Or if this guy moved into there, boy, it is, ooh, boy. You know what? This lieutenant is going to activate. And you know what? Why not? You know what? No, why not? He's going to, the lieutenant is going to activate these 2 units in himself. And they're going to come in there and we're going to have, wow, the Germans might have really messed up on this one. This could be brutal. All right. So that is going to be 6 and 10 is 16, 17. But because the Germans are now defending against an attack in the woods. Oh, they can't get one more. 6 plus 5 is 11. 16 plus 1 is 17. You can't get to the 18 column. That's too bad. Well, yeah, if he had a 2 lieutenant, he could have. Or if he would have had 2 submachine guns. So he's going to go to the... what's he on? He's on 16, 17. So he's going to go to the 13 column. And then he's going to drop down 1 because defender is occupying the woods now. So the Germans are kind of hunkered down in the woods as the Soviets or the Russians come back at them. All right, so let's see. We got a... it's gonna... We don't need to see all these modifiers, I don't think. Yeah, it's probably good. All right, so on the 9 column. That 7 is bad. Defending. So the Germans are now defending. They have a firepower of 12. Do they get the bonus of the disrupted leader? That is a great question, to be honest. I think they do, but I could be wrong. The disrupted unit or leader has its combat strength halved. We'll assume that the leader keeps his value, because I'm not going to spend all day looking it up. I could be wrong on that one. That's actually an interesting question. Never had that come up before. 12 disrupted plus 1 will give them, so it's a 13. So the Germans are on the 13 column. They rolled a 5, which is going to be, wow, turn on is fair play. That's an M2 on them now. So morale plus 2. Leader first, lieutenant. 5 plus 2 is 7. He's fine. And then we're going to work our way right to left here. So infantry, 5-2 infantry, 7 plus 2, and he becomes disrupted. So the submachine gun. Wow, that is a natural 12. That's the bad time for that, because you know what that means? He automatically goes right over I'm going to look at this up in the morale check. Oh, where is it? I don't know if it says actually on the chart. Let's see. Maybe it actually says. Of course not. All right. I know something happens. Morale checks. If a 12 is rolled on any morale check, the unit or leader is automatically demoralized. Right. Okay, so that's all that happens. He just becomes... Wow, this has been... So the submachine gun, wherever he is, (6-1), he becomes automatically demoralized. And now the infantry, the 5-2 infantry over there, 8 plus 2, he becomes, wow, brutal. Whew. You think you're jumping in there and you're just gonna you're just gonna wipe out your enemies, and then you end up getting wiped out yourself. That is a lot of units that are not in good shape there. And it looks like, yeah, that could be problematic. All right, so that was the Russian activation. Back to the Germans. All right, Germans are going to just, let's go back with something easy like a direct fire shot. So he's got these two heavy machine guns right here. He's going to take a shot at these guys now that they are easy to spot. Did I mark these all with... Mark all these guys activated so we don't... Alright, I think everyone's been activated. They've been activated. I mean... That's kind of dangerous. Because you still have these guys over here, right? Well, I think we're going to take a shot first. We're going to use these guys. We're not making any progress on the town right this second, so let's try and do something about that. 22 firepower. Where's our chart? There we are. 22. Shooting at a town is going to be bad. -2. So down in the 11 column. Target hex is 3 or more hexes away. Yes. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to go from 22 all the way down to 7. Wow, that's terrible. Again, because it's an AT gun, they will get a column back on the AT gun. So let's roll it up and see what they get. A 9. Okay, so they were on the 22. 1, 2, 3. 9 is nothing on the infantry, and it's a morale check on the AT gun. So once again, the AT gun needs to make a morale check, which they pass. These guys are marked activated. Back over to the Russian player. He's going to shoot his mortar at these guys right there, I think. So go ahead and activate him. 8 firepower on the bombard table. 8 firepower. I think these are all just units, right? Yep. Okay. They do get a +1 because they are being spotted by the firing unit. Doesn't contain 3 combat units, so it's going to go from the 8 column to 12 column. Let's see what he rolls. 6 on the 12 is the big fat nothing. Back to the Germans. Oh, let's see. How do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? Yeah, so this leader will activate his hex, and the motorcycles, the motorcycles are going to go one. I don't think anyone can shoot at them. Nope. One, two, three. Nobody's got the range. Now, in this game, you can't shoot through enemy units or ally units, right? So you can't do. So these guys couldn't shoot through these guys. There is one exception to that rule, and that is actually in a heavy machine gun. A heavy machine gun can actually shoot through units as long as there is a space between the unit they're shooting by and the target. So if these guys were, say, here, then these heavy machine guns couldn't shoot. But because there's a space between the unit they're shooting over and the target unit, an empty space, these heavy machine guns can still shoot. So we're going to move down there. These guys are going to go 2, 4, 6, 8. How much is it to move in to a 4? So that would take him up to 12. He only has 9. I guess he's going to stop. Maybe he's got a range of 3 on that sucker. Wow. 2, let's see, he was there. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, I guess it's he'll be done. So mark these guys activated. All right. Back to the Russians. So Russians are going to activate this submachine gun. You know what? No. They're going to actually activate this AT rifle. No. God. What is it for infantry to move into that? Wow, that sucks. Infantry moving into is 1.5. They're not going to have enough movement points. I have 2 movement points. All right, so I guess he's going to move the submachine gun then. 1, 2.5. Move him over there. Back to the Germans. Germans are going to try and rally, or whatever they call it in this game. He's going to try and recover here. So leader versed, he is disrupted. He's an 8. He's going to roll. He rolled a 3, so he's going to become all better. which is good. Now this guy is demoralized. Normally he would be an 8, but because he's demoralized, he goes down to a 7. Unfortunately, he doesn't get any bonus because of his leader there. Let's see what he rolls. Oh my gosh. Well, well, well. Fails to recover. If a unit fails to recover, it must flee from enemy combat units that can spot it, are within range to attack it, and are capable of obtaining a combat result against it through direct or anti-tank fire, including assaults. Fleeing. Each demoralized unit under a leader that fails to recover must move away from enemy units that could hurt it. It must move towards the nearest, in terms of movement points, town, woods, or other hex where enemy units can no longer spot it and fire on it. It must spend its entire movement allowance moving away from enemy units towards the closest safe hex. The owning player must choose between safe hexes that are equal distance. It must attempt to reach the closest safe hex as soon as possible, subject to the restrictions above. A demoralized leader or unit in a hex containing an entrenchment doesn't need to go. If a demoralized unit in a activated good order leader's hex fails to recover and flees, the leader may, but is not required, move with it and maintain its own good order. So the leader could go with this guy, but if he wanted to move away with it. If the fleeing unit or leader cannot reach a safe hex on the first turn, well, he obviously doesn't have any safe hexes to go to. Because he can't go to the town, he can't go to here. So I'm assuming you would just 1, 2, 3. The leader could move with him. Yep, I think that would be probably a good decision for him to go up there. Well, the leader recovered, but these guys said, no, thank you. No, not interested. Gotta go. Back to the Russians. Russians are going to activate this guy here. He's just going to move into this hex right there. And back to the Germans. The Germans are actually going to move. This leader is going to activate its hex and these two hexes, or these two. No. Yeah, this leader is going to activate all 4 of these guys. I think. I think. I think. I think they're going to move there, and I think this guy is going to go 1, 2, move over there. This guy can only move 1 hex because he's disrupted. Alright. Alrighty. So these guys all activated. This guy's all activated. Yeah, for the Germans, he activated too. Mark activated. This guy isn't activated yet. These guys activated. Oh yeah, these guys recovered morale. This guy activated. Yes, he did. This guy isn't activated. Okay. Yeah, that's right. These guys haven't done jack. They are going. Oh, this guy could fire at him, couldn't he? Yes, he could. And be 5, 6, 7, 8 firepower. But if we get 2 units up there, that could. You know what? I'm going to risk it. Germans have to risk it. They're pushing forward here. They're going to move up there. They're going to activate 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're going to be on the 7 column, +1 for opportunity fire. So they're in the 11 column. Uh-oh. That's another M2. Man. Leader first. 8 + 2 is 10. Wow. He becomes disrupted. First squad. He rolls a 2. He's fine. Second squad. 8 + 2 is 10. He is going to fail. A couple disrupted units. That did not work out as great as the Germans was planning. Oh, wait a minute. He does not. That's right. This guy already activated because he moved up. So he's got a firepower 3. So it drop him down to a 2 to the 4 column. What did he roll? He rolled an 11, which would be just an M check. An M check. Rolled an 8 plus 1 is 9. He is not disrupted. And then this guy rolled an 8, which is not disrupted. Right. So he just barely made both of those. Wow, that was huge. Good thing I caught that. Activated. Upfire. There we go. Upfire. So they actually moved up and survived their attack, which could be pretty good. But now they're right in the line of everyone shooting, though. God damn it. Didn't think that through, did we? So that was 1. We shouldn't be moving as a stack anyways. What am I thinking? You can only move one at a time. 1. We'll say he shot. And now I changed my mind and it makes more sense to go 2, 3. And then the leader and the other guy will go down here because these guys have already activated. They can't do anything. There we go. That was a much smarter move than bringing them over here. I don't know why I was thinking that. That was kind of dumb. That was really dumb, as a matter of fact. Really dumb. I think that's the end of round 2. Nope, this guy isn't activated. He's going to try and recover morale here. 5, he does. So he recovers. I think that's everyone down there. These guys should be marked now as activated. Yep, I think that's the end of round number 2. Wow, that was brutal and dangerous. Boy, when these units start getting together and nice and tight and close, it turns into... So, like, whoever wins initiative next turn is going to have a hard decision. Like, do you shoot all your powerful units adjacent, or do you try and recover morale before your enemy can light you up? We got a whole bunch of units just adjacent. These guys could go in here. Yeah. Well, that's the end of turn 2. As far as I know, we're going to save this. And we'll pick it up next time. So thank you all for coming out. Thanks for checking this out. I know it's long, but it's hard playing tactical games because you can't outthink yourself. You can't outmaneuver yourself because you're like, oh, I'm going to move this guy over here. Well, then you know that when these guys should shoot or not shoot. But that is... technically, I guess these guys had another shot. They roll a 6, which would be nothing. Okay, good. They would have shot probably when these guys were moving up. Yeah, that's fine. All right. I'm gonna just let that save game is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? Wait, why is it not? Maybe because I already saved it. I don't know. All right. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys.